What's going on, people? We are Tottenham TV here, back again with another Tottenham update, and I'm here joined with Henry Wright TV. How are we doing, Henry? You okay?
Yeah, I'm very well, thank you. Yourself?
Yeah, doing all good, and it's nice summer weather. I'm enjoying the heat. Not many people are enjoying the heat. People saying it's too hot. They're risking their lives, but look, we're braving the weather to give you another Tottenham update here at We Are Tottenham TV. Spurs obviously ended their Korean tour yesterday with a 1-1 draw against Sevilla in a feisty friendly with Harry Kane giving Spurs the lead in the second half. Ivan Rakitic with a lovely equaliser from just outside the box. It was, look, they called it a friendly, but it didn't seem like one, did it, yesterday, Henry?
No, I just said to you a minute ago. It felt like a derby in a way, or like an old school Premier League game. There was lots of challenges. Obviously Lamela was getting right amongst it, even defending some of the Spurs players as well, which I thought was he's proper. He's a diehard Spurs. But I just thought, even the way the game was, it was quite end to end. Sevilla dominated possession. I kind of expected that. They're a possession based team. Not a massive amount of chances in it, and it was good to see that Conte rotated all the players again to kind of get the likes of Sars and football as well. But some of the tackles. I mean, Richarlison tried to throw a punch at one point. It was like, where's this come from? This is a friendly game between two respected clubs. Let's just play the game and then move on. But tackles flying in, even Romero and getting stuck in defending Sonny. But yeah,
maybe they took the title, the Lamella Derby, a bit too seriously.
Yeah, it was carnage at some points. I mean, some of the tackle. Did you see Son? He kind of like shoulder barged one of the players off the ball.
Well, no, that Sevilla player came charging into him and then got upset that he caught Son's arm, even though he ran into Son's arm. Son was trying to get past him. He tried to wipe him out, and Son did really well. Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, unfortunately, I couldn't see much of the second half, but I was watching a lot of the first half, and I thought some of the football we were playing was really good on the counter. Unfortunately, I did think again we still need to improve on some of our build-up play. Although it looks risky, when it does come off, it does it does pay dividends, doesn't it? Because we get into all sorts of really good spaces, but a lot of the time, especially unfortunately when we're giving it to people like Sanchez, they just don't look comfortable when they're building up. And then obviously, I think it led to their equaliser, didn't it? We gave the ball away, and they put a bit of a nice move together, and they ended up scoring and make it 1-1. In terms of football overall, though, over the two games, have you liked what you've seen, the structure maybe from the team, or you want to see a bit more from what we've got? Obviously, Basuma, Perisic, Spence, who we'll talk about in a minute. They're yet to make any minutes in this team, who I'm sure they'll make a big difference as well. But are you liking what you're seeing so far from pre-season?
Yeah, as pre-season goes, I've actually quite enjoyed it. Obviously, Basuma and Perisic and Spence and even Forster haven't really had massive amount of game time or any game time. But as pre-season's gone, the first game against, was it the Korean 11 or the Korean All-Star 11? That was a very, very game. I was actually very impressed with their centre half, the one we've been interested in. He actually looked like a decent player. I was very happy as a friendly goes. The first one was a bit of a goal fest, end to end. Kane scored a free kick for the first time in 7 years.
He's looking sharp, isn't he, Kane? He's really looking sharp in pre-season.
Yeah, he is. Do you know this? This is the fittest I've ever seen Kane look. He looks faster. He looks stronger. He looks really happy with it. And you have to give a massive amount of credit to Antonio Conte for turning that around, because it was only in September, October, where we thought, is he going to score any goals? And then obviously Conte comes in, and from January to May, him, Son and Kulusevski set the world alight. But as the first game went, I was actually really impressed with Richarlison's movement. I thought he showed. I mean, obviously we did the video last month or earlier on in the month, and I was a bit skeptical on him. But I think he's going to be very important to Conte. You can already see, defending Sonny, getting stuck in with Romero. You can already see it's a Conte buy. I know it's very early on, but every single thing, his attributes, his attitude, the mentality he's got is everything Conte wants. So if he can add goals and a bit more creativity to his game, we're laughing. But as far as pre-season's gone, yesterday I thought at times it was the game was very, both us us and Sevilla trying to do different things. It was kind of experimenting. We made, what was it, 12 changes or 11 changes. So it was great to see rotation come through. But the first game, I know, the 11 we're playing against is not the best top tier. It's not like we're playing a Premier League game, but the way that we were building up, Eric Dyer, by the way, I've been very impressed. That goal he took against in the first game and that last-ditch tackle he did yesterday was absolutely ridiculous. Do you know what that reminded me of? Do you remember the Leg the King tackle on Iron Robin?
Yeah.
Iron Robin getting away with Leg the King. I mean, the striker probably should have pulled the trigger, but you cannot discount Eric Dyer for that. It's a massive amount of credit for not giving up and makes a last-ditch tackle, puts the striker off, and I'm really looking forward to seeing Dyer next season. I really am. I think he's stepped up leaps and bounds since Conte's come in, similar to the way Mourinho had him. He went up and elevated a few levels, but now he's just, I think he's gone up another level from that. So
100%. He's going to be a massive player for us next season, especially with the role he has in the centre of back three, the leadership role, and he seems to be improving as well under Conte. And looks like Conte's given him that confidence when he said last season that this guy could be the best centre back of a back three in world football if he wants to be. He said he has the quality, and we all laughed at that. And I don't think he has proved yet he's going to be the best in the world. But what I must say is that he has really come on leaps and bounds since Conte's come in. And he has become, especially in the Premier League, one of the most consistent centre-backs. And if he can carry that on into the next few seasons, we might not be laughing at that statement anymore. Just one more thing to touch on the Korean tour, and maybe it leads on to our season as well. The impact on that is about Lucas Moura. And in the second half of the K-League game, Conte moved Lucas Moura over to right wing back, and I thought personally, it was just a temporary thing as he was making shuffles in the lineup, making room for just putting him somewhere temporarily before he brings other players on. But he did start him against Sevilla in the right wing back position, and he had a decent outing out there. I don't think he was too impressive, but he did get into good positions, and he was getting in crossing positions and getting balls in the box. When asked about Lucas in the right wing back position, Conte said, "I spoke to Lucas, and I think the wing back could be a good option for him. In the past, I made Perisic in this position. I've also made Candreva in this position and Victor Moses in this position. Before he was a winger, and then he became a wing back. He has the quality. The most important thing is the player has to be 100% ready to do it." Now, there was talk, I remember in January, or I think it was in January, when obviously we wanted Adama Traore and we didn't get him. And then there was talk, we're going to play Lucas there, and it never really happened. But is there a chance that Lucas becomes a serious option in the right wing back position? Or is it a case of the fact that we got Spence now, still have Emerson and Doherty? Is there any need for him to be an option in that position?
I don't necessarily think there's a need for it because we've just brought in Spence. So we've got 3 right wing backs as it is. And it looks like Emerson Royale he's been linked with a move to a few clubs now. Atletico Madrid have been interested. I think he's just experimenting. One thing I would say is Lucas Moura is obviously a better going forward than the 3 right backs you've currently got, as you'd expect, because he's a winger, right? But then again, is Lucas Moura going to get any football on the right-hand side where Richarlison could play there? Kulusevski obviously plays there. So is he going to get much game time? Or is Conte thinking, right, okay, if we're going to get rid of Emerson Royale, and I can have Lucas Moura, Doherty, and Jed Spence, because we need to understand as fans, this season, last year we played a game every 7 days. We're going to be playing every game every 3 or 4 days now. Champions League, he wants to compete on all 4 fronts, and it's a squad game. If Jed Spence, if Matt Doherty in the first couple of weeks of the season gets a massive injury again, and he's out for 6 weeks, you're saying all we're going to have, or 6 months, all we're going to have is Jed Spence and Emerson Royale. And if Emerson Royale goes, it all falls on Jed Spence, which is a massive ask going from a team that's, wants to get up into the Premier League. From going Championship to Champions League is a massive, massive difference. And I think that he's thinking, okay, if Doherty being injury prone, obviously he wants to stay. We know how good his relationship with the likes of Dyer, Kane, Lloris, etc., and the club. And this is a guy. In January, everyone wanted him out, and he's turned his career around. So I do get why he's doing it. You know, like you said, he did it with Moses, even Ashley Young, the other side, Kondrava, Perisic.
Even Kulusevski's played a few games there.
Yeah, even Kulusevski. So it's kind of like, okay, well, he's experimenting, and he's got every right to, because everyone that he has turned from a winger to a wing back has played well. The difference is in Italy, you get a bit more time on the ball than you do in the Premier League. And as Lucas Moura got the composure to play as a wing back, I mean, he's going to be great going forward. He's got pace to burn, and he's great at taking on players, and he'll get into lots of good positions. It's just the other side of his game. When he's coming up against a one-on-one against, you know, Foden, Grealish, Sancho, Salah, you know, Smith Rowe, Saka, Jared Bowen, you're kind of sitting there like, okay, it's going to be like Oriel all over again. Great going forward, liability at the back. You know, that's just my opinion.
I hear that. I don't see him being the best offensively. I also think he might frustrate when he's asked to put too many crosses in the box. I don't think because he's not the best crosser. We all know that. You know, he's never been the best crosser of the ball. Lucas Moura. He's always strengths have always been in dribbling, getting like little clever passes in around the penalty area, wriggling out of situations, and I think as well. When he gets in the box, he's good at like low passes across the box and stuff like that. He's not so good at like deep positions, getting crosses on a plate for strikers. So, remains to be. But then again, you could say none of our wing backs, even Spence, it's their forte. I do think though. This 5-sub rule is going to be massive for our wing-back slot. I expect both wing-backs, there's going to be many games where they're both going to be changed on the hour mark or 75-minute mark.
Yeah.
Because it just brings more energy to that role. We know how energy sapping it is. And with only 3 subs, you know, you've got to be careful about subbing them both because, you know, you've got other positions. But with 5 subs, you can think, okay, the 2 wing-backs will get changed, bring more energy, and then we've got 3 more subs to play with. And I expect those wing backs to regularly be changing, adding energy there. And then maybe if Lucas could be the option, if we're really pushing for a result, he could be a very good option at right wing back. All right, moving. That's that. Moving on to from the Sevilla tour to more transfer news, and it's the talk of the flavour of the day over the weekend is James Maddison. And this is because there's been many rumours, obviously, over the last few days since the Spence deal got wrapped up, that Spurs are definitely looking for an attacking midfielder. Ali Gold said there's definitely a lot of money to spend due to the fact that player sales to be taken into account, Champions League football, the cash injection, and the fact that even up to this point, we haven't, even with Spence, I don't think we've spent 100 million yet. Or maybe just, I don't think we have. I don't think we spent 100 million yet.
I think we're on 60 when you look at what we've got for players because we've sold
at the moment,
Cameron Carter-Vickers, Jack Clark. So to get 30 million for Bergwijn, fair play to Livy. Yeah, it's great business.
Yeah, so look, there's clearly a lot of money to spend still, even though we have signed 6 players. Dan Kilpatrick said that we're definitely in the market for an attacking midfielder. And now Paul O'Keefe, who's usually he gets a lot of good information in and around the club. I'm not saying he's always 100% right, but he does definitely get a lot of good information. And he was asked about, do you know anything about attacking midfield? And he says Tottenham are very interested in James Maddison from Leicester. He said with 2 years left of his contract, he definitely wants Champions League football. Spurs are definitely prepared to pay the right fee for James Maddison. So that's definitely, and obviously he's got supreme qualities. That's definitely a deal that could be nothing. And then obviously some other ITKs came in and said as well that it's hotting up. Nothing. Look, don't want to lie. There's nothing official, or there's no other journalists like Ali Gold or anyone or Romano, anything saying that there is legs in this deal. But there is murmurings that Maddison could definitely be on the table. I, for one, think he would be a brilliant signing. I think he's been pretty good for Leicester since he signed. He's been pretty consistent. I think last season was definitely his best season in a Leicester shirt. I think 12 goals and 8 assists in the Premier League. And obviously then he got quite a few goals in Europa League and Conference League as well. I think he's exactly the type of player that we need. A bit of a creative passer in around the penalty area, a long-range shooter as well, can play in that attacking midfield position. I think he's better than Eriksen? I don't. I would have probably preferred Eriksen. So that from that case, it's disappointment. But Eriksen, if he was under full contract, probably would have commanded a big fee, especially if he was Maddison's age. I don't know how. I think Maddison's 25 now. So if Eriksen was 25, he would have commanded a big fee. So it's only right that Maddison will probably command a fee of upwards of 50, 60 million, I would assume, if Leicester are looking or Leicester are prepared to sell him. One other thing I like about him is that potentially he could play on the left-hand side on a 3-4-3 covering that Son position. And then if we go to 3-5-2, you can play the attacking mid. So it gives tactical versatility. But I guess the drawbacks are, first of all, the old tweets that people aren't happy about.
He was 15 or 16 then. It's like Doherty did the same thing, and we all love Doherty now. So
that's true.
I think with Maddison, I don't remember the last time we signed a Premier League player, right, in the form of his life, like right now. I don't remember the last time, and Maddison is one of the best playmakers, not only in the Premier League, in Europe. Outside Kevin De Bruyne, I don't think there's a playmaker like Maddison in the league. An out number 8.
You rate him better than Eriksen?
Right now, yeah. I'd say so. 25-year-old Eriksen is a different ballgame, though. Mm-hmm. You're talking 25-year-old Eriksen right now would be up there with De Bruyne. But James Maddison's a different player.
Maddison over Bruno?
I'd go, yeah. I would, yeah.
Interesting.
A lot of people... See, I like Bruno, but he never turns up in big games.
Mm.
Like, he's a bit of a stat merchant. He might not score for 3 or 4 games and he'll go get a hat-trick against Norwich. Then he might not score against a few other teams and then he'll get a hat-trick against Burnley. Whereas Maddison is playing for Leicester. They were absolutely riddled with injuries. Vardy, Iheanacho, Daka, Moura, and Didi, Tielemans. So many injuries. Then I think they played something like 26 different back fours last season.
Wow, that's incredible.
When you look at, they've only got 2 right backs, James Justin and Pereira. He's an exceptional footballer. Set pieces, right? He's one of the best set piece takers in the country. We lack set pieces. So he ticks that box. He's got goals and assists from midfield. Our 3rd highest goal scorer last year was own goals. So he just ticks all the boxes. English player as well, so he ticks the homegrown box. Right? And he's in the form of his life. When we signed Son, Eriksen, Toby, Jan, they were all not really heard about. And they come on to be superstars. Maddison already is a superstar. Liverpool are sniffing around now. How often do Liverpool make a bad signing? They don't.
Are they? Are they interested in Maddison?
Yeah, they are. Paul O'Keefe said Maddison wants Champions League football, and the 2 teams that are interested are Tottenham and Liverpool. I think the only issue I have with Maddison is we play a 2-man midfield, which means we need to switch to a 3-5-2. And then the first question everyone's going to say is who drops out, but it's not necessarily who drops out because it's a squad game. Every 3 or 4 games, Kulusevski's going to come out, and Kane and Son need to get used to sitting on the bench. If one of them gets an injury, there's no one else. If Kane gets an injury, where's our creativity? Who passes to Son?
Do you see Maddison potentially filling in on that left-hand side of a 3-4-3, maybe on occasion?
Yeah, well, he can play anywhere. He's played left wing, right wing, and false 9 for Leicester. False 9. Now, he's such a technically good footballer, I think. And right now, it would be a statement signing. If I said to you before the transfer window, we'd have Richarlison, Maddison, Perisic, Lenglet, Bissouma, and Jed Spence, you'd have bit my hand off. Now, if you throw in a James Maddison and we potentially bring in, maybe another forward, then there's no excuse for Conte not to succeed with this team because you've got the creativity in Maddison and Kane. You've got the goals in Richarlison, Kane, Son, Kulusevski. You've got more creativity on the wing backs in Jed Spence and Perisic. We've brought in another centre-back in Lenglet. It might not be everyone's first choice. It might not be a Bastoni or a Pau Torres, etc. But teams around us, like Arsenal, Man United, Chelsea, they don't have 2 20-goal-a-season strikers. We do. And now you add the creativity from the wing-backs and a better centre-back and a midfielder like Bissouma, who is only 25 as well. So he's going to get better and better and better, like Maddison. Then you fight cooking with gas. He really is a top. Watch him. Some of the clips of him last season. Some of the passes this guy makes. He can play a deep line playmaker as well.
Yeah,
So
look, he's a supreme talent. We know that. Left foot, he's got, yeah, as you said, 2-footed as well. He's got really supreme talent, and I think he's been for Leicester one of the best attacking midfielders in the Premier League. And I think definitely his set pieces. We need some. We don't really have a set piece specialist right now. He could definitely fill that role. The only thing is, I guess, look, he's played for a Premier League team in Leicester who have their own ambitions. I know he has 2 years left on his contract, but what kind of fee do you think they would be commanding? Paul O'Keefe did mention that there is potential maybe for a player plus cash deal because Leicester was sniffing around Harry Winks. But if Winks wasn't involved in the deal, what do you think? What kind of fee do you reckon could get him?
I would say this deal would probably be 50 million and 60 million with add-ons. I think the thing is, he has got his own aspirations with Leicester. They've won an FA Cup, but they are progressively getting worse. They've gone from being a Europa League team to a Conference League team. Now they're not even in Europe next year. We can offer Maddison Champions League football, right? And if the money is there, which it should be, because we've only really spent 60 odd million pounds, right? And we had this potential 150 million, we've got every right to buy him. You know, forget the tweets when he was a 15-year-old kid. I know everyone's going to be saying, oh, yeah. But then if he scores a worldie against Arsenal, everyone would absolutely adore this guy. It all goes. If he comes and sets the world alight and starts, spraying the passes around left to right to Kane and Sonny, we're all going to be down at the lane. There'll be a song for him within 24 hours about this and that. I would imagine, 50 to 55 million, maybe 60 million of add-ons. I think that's a good deal, to be fair. If we can throw in Harry Winks and we said maybe, let's say 35, 40 million in Harry Winks, it kind of softens the blow of it because they get another English midfielder. And I think not only on that, I think Harry Winks needs to move himself. He's rotting away. He's barely getting any games. It's actually quite sad as well because he's been at Tottenham since, 6 or 7 or 8 years of age. It's very rare that you get an academy graduate go and play in a Champions League final. He's kind of been at Tottenham now, all of his career. He needs something else. I can see him at someone like Southampton playing alongside a James Ward-Prowse or a Crystal Palace. I don't necessarily think he's going to go into a team like a Villa or a West Ham or a Leicester that's kind of pushing on for that top 10, maybe like a bottom mid-table sort of side. And it's just sad. I think he needs more game time to kind of reignite his career because he was playing for England at one point.
He was. And he was playing really well for England as well.
Yeah, now he's just sitting on the Tottenham bench.
Yeah, he's stagnated. And I agree he needs a move. And hopefully, if that will work for both parties. Obviously, I think we'd get the better of a deal. I think Maddison would be I think he would be the perfect kind of player to round off the window. Maybe if we do get another centre back as well, which we'll talk about in a sec. But if we need an attacking midfielder, there are not too many better options out there to get in than James Maddison, although he does come with the Premier League and English tax both put on him. So whether he's too much for the board remains to be seen. But there's no reason why he should be too much for the board because there's money there to spend. He's at a good age. So if there's a deal to be done, let's hope we can get it done. And that would be absolutely phenomenal. Moving on, there is a couple of moving on from Maddison, talking about the Jed Spence deal. Obviously, that he had a medical at Spurs on Friday. Now, there's no official announcement on Jed Spence. However, there is this, which could be of interest. There is some leaked photos of Spence in a Tottenham shirt. Doing his media duties. So if there was any doubt about this deal being done, this should put it to bed. There's even that leaked photo of him and his agents as well, holding up the Tottenham shirt. So it looks as though that he is most definitely going to be a Tottenham player. No doubt about it. We're just waiting for the official announcement, which Ali Gold says is most likely to come on Monday. So there you go. Jed Spence, we're waiting for the official announcement, but that's pretty much as official as it gets, him holding up the shirt. Although, if you've seen that Leeds documentary on Amazon, you would have seen Dan James holding up a Leeds shirt back in 2019, and then the deal fell through at the final hour, and it never happened. But I don't think this is going to be the case with Jed Spence, so time to get excited, I would say. For you, Henry, obviously, when we're talking, we've spoken about Jed Spence on the channel, but are you excited about this deal? Do you think he could be the answer to our problems at right wing back?
Well, there's no doubt there's a player in there and he has got a lot of potential. I just feel like what I don't want us as fans to do is put a massive amount of pressure on, because he's still a kid, right? He's what, 21, 22 years of age.
He'll be turning 22 just before the season starts.
Yeah, and so he's never played in the Premier League. He's never played in the Champions League. He's never played for a football club that has this amount of pressure, right? Don't get me wrong. He had a great year with Nottingham Forest last year, and there's a reason why Daniel Levy was the guy trying to make this signing. It reminds me a lot of when we signed Ryan Sessegnon. Had a great year in the Championship, got promoted just like Fulham did. But then what I don't want it to do is the way Ryan Sessegnon it's taken him 2 or 3 years. I think there's a lot more quality in Spence than what some people think he is. Lots of fans have come out and said, yeah, let's wait and let's see. I do think he needs time. But if you've got Antonio Conte and his defensive coaches around, he's going to get better. He's going to be playing with better defenders than Forest. I'm sure he'll learn stuff of Dyer, Romero, Lenglet, even Perisic. But people are underestimating how much of a signing Perisic is going to be, not just to the left side, to the right side. He's very versatile and he can bring so much experience to these younger players. I'm not going to say he's the answer to all of our problems, because I haven't really seen him no one's really seen much of him apart from the FA Cup games and maybe a couple of snippets here or there on Twitter. But there's a lot of potential in this signing, and I actually feel pretty happy about this. I feel like with what we've done the business so far, we're kind of ticking every box off. We just need that creativity box is the last one. Tick that off, and then no one can say that Conte hasn't got what he's wanted.
Yeah,
we're on the 17th of July and we've made 6 signings. I've never seen Tottenham operate this in my life.
Definitely, and the fact that we got them in early as well just gives off the impression that we know what we're doing, we know who we want, and even if look, obviously we didn't get our first choice targets in left centre back for Bastoni and Cavadio, but we did it. We clearly, I think Longley clearly wasn't like a panic buy or anything like that. You don't panic buy this early in the window. You get someone through the door who you think could fill a role, and I think that everyone we've gotten has, has been scouted to fill a role in the squad, and we've gone on and got players who can fill that role, and I think Spence definitely fits that as well. And for everyone saying, yeah, we need someone more established and everything, a right wing back, I kind of agree with that, but what I would say is we have that all over the pitch. Like, it doesn't, just because someone's young and someone's a bit raw doesn't mean they can't be good. And you don't need someone who's established in every single position. You can have loads of experienced players and then some younger players as well. It's all about having a mix and a balance. So hopefully Spence can bring that balance to the team as well. And from what I know, what we know he can bring in terms of physically, in terms of his dribbling ability, I think he could definitely be a massive threat down the right wing for us, and could develop into a top right wing back. So it is about being patient, giving him time, and hopefully in the meantime, while he's developing, hopefully he can put in some good performances, but also hopefully Doherty and Emerson can continue their upward trajectory as well. And I'm starting to get the feeling that they're both going to stay at this point. But so I've got that feeling they're both going to stay, and we're going to have 5 wing backs.
If they stay, who starts at right wing back for you in the Premier League?
A battle. I think it's a battle. I think for me at the moment, well, Emerson ended the season.
Had a good end of the season, didn't he?
Yeah, I think Doherty's probably in terms of what we've seen, Doherty's probably the best one right now. But Emerson was really good at the end of the season, so I don't know. It's difficult right now. I think Emerson might start the season if he's still there.
Is it kind of just on the day? We're going to have to. It'll go for a game where we might start Emerson against Southampton, we might start Spence against Chelsea, and then we might start Doherty for the other game, and it will just kind of be based on performances, and then it will kind of choose itself.
And you got to remember as well, Doherty can play on the left as well. That's also a factor. So you've basically got 5 wing backs, 2 covering the left, 2 covering the right, and then Doherty, you can play on the left and the right, and Perisic can play left and right as well. You've got plenty of cover. Huh?
I said we've actually got 6 if you involve Reguilon.
Yeah, but Reguilon being left out, that's definitely an indication that he's definitely not in the plans. But Emerson and Doherty both went. So that tells me that Conte would be happy with both of them staying, to me. That's the indication I get.
What are your thoughts on that? Because I feel like Sergio Reguilon gets into so many good positions attacking. And I feel like, do you feel like he needs more time? Or do you think...
I like Reguilon. I think, yeah, I agree. I think he could be a decent left wing back. But we now have Perisic, we now have Sessegnon, and we have Doherty on the left as well. There's no real place for him in this squad. And out of the wing backs on the left, I think he's the least suited to playing left wing back. Doesn't mean he can't be a good left wing back, but I do think he's the least suited to playing in that role. I think Sessegnon and Perisic are more natural there. So, and that in that case, the fact that maybe Seville could maybe pay some money for him and he's quite sellable, I think it makes sense. But it is unfortunate because he's young. I think he's really liked by the squad. I think he's a good character. I think he's a good player as well. So it would be a shame to lose him after 2 years, but it does kind of make sense right now.
Question for you. If we could potentially do a deal with Sevilla, would you be interested in bringing in a Koundé, the centre-half?
Yeah, massively.
So if we said, say, Sergio Reguilon and 35 million euros for Koundé, do you reckon they'd be tempted?
I'd like to think they would, because I don't know what the offer right now that was on the table, I think, from Barcelona for Koundé. But I think he'd be a phenomenal signing at centre-back. He'd definitely complement the three we have. Although, I'm not sure if he'll play on the left. I think he can play all three, left, centre, and right. I think he's pretty comfortable in all of them. I'm not sure which one he's the most comfortable about, whether he comes in at centre to compete with Dyer, or is he more on the right with Romero, or would he start on the left of the three as well? And you got Longley there. So I don't know which he's most suited to, but if you've got a chance to bring in someone on the level of Koundé, you probably take it, I think, at this point, because he could be a superstar at centre back for sure. So I'd be massively interested in bringing him in, but we've got a lot of competition right now, so it's going to be a very, very difficult deal. Let's move on to the next topic, and that's Japhet Tanganga. And Sky Sports Italy say that Japhet Tanganga is AC Milan's first option right now. There has now been contact with both Spurs and the players' representatives over a loan move. Is this one that you'd be happy with? And do you see it happening? Do you see him going to AC Milan on loan?
To be honest, I don't really see this happening. As much as, DiMaggio is a world-class journalist, I just don't necessarily think this is going to happen, purely because, he's going to go there and be a backup for AC Milan, if I'm right. He's not going to go there and be their starter.
Well, Moura might have thought the same, and he wanted it on the spot, didn't he?
Yes, that's true, I guess. I feel like some of the players in our squad, like maybe Tanganga's kind of been mismanaged a little bit, because no one really knows what his best position is. Is he a left-sided centre-back? Is he a centre-back? Is he a right-sided centre-back? Is he a right-back? Is he a right wing-back?
He says he's a centre-back.
Then if he's a centre-back, then he needs a loan. He needs more game time. He's not gonna get in. You've got Lenglet, Davis, Dyer, Romero. I can't see him getting, as much as I've said earlier on in this video, it's a squad game. I can't see Japhet starting at wing back for us or starting at centre back. The same as Sanchez. If we could cash in at Sanchez, yesterday you made obviously another error. I feel like if we could get some money for these and actually bring in players that are going to make an impact, then it's a no-brainer. If there's a decent offer on the table for him and he's going to get more experience and come back a different player, then I think it's a no-brainer. He needs that move.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's time at the moment for Japhet. He's been on the bench now for about 3 years. He probably needs that. And I think AC Milan would be too good to turn down if there is an offer there. And I think for him, it would be good to take it. But I think for Tottenham, I think there's too much competition for him again. And I don't see him getting too much time in his favoured position, which is right centre-back, with Sanchez and Romero there right now. He's third in the pecking order. So I think as much as it pains me, because I like him and he's an academy product and I think he's a good player, I think it makes sense for him to move. Last but not least, we old Kim Min-Jae. Their rumours are back again after a couple of years. And this is from Tanzaloik, which is a French publication, or French journalist, sorry, because Kim Min-Jae was set to move to Rennes. Apparently, there was a deal agreed, but he says that a Premier League club have entered the race for Kim Min-Jae in the final hour. There is nothing finalised relating to the destination as of this evening, and that club has rumoured to be Tottenham Hotspur, to have gone in for Kim Min-Jae late in the window. However, the South Korean journalist Sung-Mo Lee, who was the one you've been seeing with Ali Gold and other journalists out in South Korea, he says there is no truth with Kim Min-Jae to Tottenham links, with nothing between the two parties at the moment. So it seems there's cold water on that. But look, apparently he's been quite good for Fenerbahce out in Turkey after making the step up from the K League. He's described as the South Korean Harry Maguire. Do you think? Is that a compliment? Do you think he could be a good option for us, or do you think it's too much of a risk?
I don't necessarily think being called the South Korean Harry Maguire is a compliment, but I genuinely feel like this is another kind of situation we've had where we're always going to be linked with him. You know, if he comes, okay, is he a left side centre back? Can he play through the middle, or is he a right side centre back?
Probably put him in the middle, I would say, because someone like with his height and build, you'd want him in down the centre so he can be aerially dominant, and then he control the other guys.
Yeah, I agree. You know, if you're getting linked from away from South Korea to Turkey and then to France, clearly, you know, there's a player in there. If you know, Rennes have been a Champions League and a Europa League club in recent years, you know, when they had the likes of Camavinga, etc. I feel like if we get him, you know, great, it's another defender. But as soon as he comes in, straight away, obviously he's going to have Sonny to put an arm around him and kind of guide him. But we need to establish first things first where he fits in the pecking order. It can't be a centre-back we come in like Davinson Sanchez, plays every now and then, a rotation. If he's got ability, go in and challenge Dyer. Say, I want to be the main man. There's nothing wrong with competition, right? And if you said we got the so this new guy, is it what's his name?
Kim Min-Jae.
Kim Min-Jae. So we'd have Kim Min-Jae, Lingley, Dyer, Davis, Romero, Sanchez, and Rodon. That's 8 centre-backs. 2 of them have got to go. And in my opinion, I think Joe Rodon will get a loan move somewhere. And I think maybe Javit Tanganga will get a loan move. So then you're left with 6 players and you think, okay, that's good enough to work with. Romero being the standout, you know, the R&R defender, the Rolls Royce, Dyer closely followed, and then everyone else is kind of fighting for positions. That's what I want to see, so that we know every single game, Dyer and Romero are starting, and then maybe one week it's a Lingley, or maybe Lingley comes in the middle and Dyer is a break, and Davies comes in at left side of centre back. Every 3 or 4 games we're going to have a game now. Champions League, Premier League, Champions League, FA Cup, then League Cup, then back to Premier League. We can't just have the same 3 centre-backs starting every single game. You know, otherwise we're going to get torn to shreds. And
otherwise also a few injuries and you're in trouble. So you definitely need the depth next season. Do I think Kim Min-Jae's the answer? It's hard to say. I mean, clearly, I think from clips I've seen of him, he does have really good passing ability, and obviously his build is built for the Premier League. I think he's strong. Does he have? I think he is obviously a bit slower, but you can make fun of Harry Maguire, but you put him in a back 3. I think you've seen for England, he's much better in a back 3 than he is for Man United in a back 2. And I think Maguire would do well in our back 3, in my opinion. So do I think Kim Min-Jae could do, based on that, could do decent in a back 3 based on the kind of profile of defender he is? I think he's probably more suited to a back 3 than a back 2. Yeah. But does he have the required ability? I don't know. It's tough to say. Obviously, it's safer to go with a more established centre-back choice, which maybe we will go for down the window. Anyway, it seems like there's no truth to these rumours anyway. But if we do end up signing him, it could be a very interesting prospect, because he could be one that's gone under the radar, and he actually could surprise a lot of people. But it does seem like it's unlikely to happen anyway. But Henry, thank you very much for joining me for a Tottenham update. If you want to go and subscribe to Henry Wright TV, link is in the title and in the description as well. So go check him out. Cheers for joining me, Henry. But as always, If you liked anything we talked about today, put all your thoughts in the comment section below. Like, subscribe, and comment. And as always, come on, you Spurs.
Come on, you Spurs.